it's been really hard. It's there was a lot of misinformation. There was a lot of hostility, and a lot of people concerned that they weren't getting what they thought they were getting. And we toured the country to try and put it as straight as we could. And there's still a bit of misinformation out there, but by and large, everybody, I think, understood it at the end of the day, and the vote would support that.
Do you think your reputation will be able to come back from this saga?
I think I'll just keep my head down for a long time and get on with it.
And are you glad that that sort of, I guess, any sort of emotional stuff didn't sort of eventually sort of cloud decisions, or do you have any thoughts around that?
Look, I think some did, but ultimately the logic of the deal, I think, stood out, and it's a better platform, it's a better way forward, and I think the mums and dads will be better off for it.
Do you worry about those, like there was a guy who was in his 80s, Alfred, and I guess lots of families just need money right here and now. Are you a bit worried about those people who can't afford to have that patience?
Well, one of the advantages of this project or this proposal or now deal from Allied is that it gives them flexibility. So for those that absolutely need to, they can sell some stock where they couldn't before.
What do you think will happen with the share price tomorrow then?
I'm not sure I should be guessing what the share price is. I think it's reasonably obvious there'll be an overhang in the market. I think everybody's expecting some short-term dip and hopefully some medium-term stability, and Rob does the job we think he will. Hopefully we've lost a lot of money, obviously. I said on the roadshow recently, last year Eric and I discussed putting in this extra money then and the risks associated with it. We thought that at the time that risk was quite low, but yeah, we've lost a lot of money. We've lost about 150 million in capital and probably another couple of $100 million that we thought we had in goodwill. So yeah, it's hurt, but we'll
confident you'll be able to sort of do more with Hanover's loan book than Hanover's been able to do?
Look, I think we can do more with the entire Allied Farmers platform. This transaction was designed to transform Allied Farmers into an icon business in New Zealand, and it's the first of many that we hope we can report back to. Look, we've prepared a schedule of things that we think we'll realise over the first couple of years. That's about as far forward as we're looking at the moment. There's a range of different options and things available to Allied in terms of the way that it unwinds this loan book. And yeah, what we do with it that'll be reported back as we go, I guess. Plans will change, and we'll meet the market when we need to.
Ms. Hotchin, what have you learned from this whole experience yourself? What do you take from this what's happened with your company and what you've been through?
Goodness. Depends how far back you go, I guess. The turbulence in the market, we expected a downturn. We actually planned for the market softening. We just didn't think it would go anywhere near as far as it did. So caught us a little bit by surprise. The liquidity disappeared out of the market very, very quickly, so we ended up in a moratorium. We thought we could put a program together that would buy us time and that those assets would recover, and in actual fact they didn't. Now, when we did the DRP, we weren't relying on a recovery, we were relying on time. However, they declined significantly through the last 12 months, so yeah, it's made a big difference.
Do you accept some of the decisions you made, some of the investment decisions you made were wrong?
Well, you've got to bear in mind I'm one of 6 that sat on a board, so unfortunately I'm the only one here. So, benefit of hindsight, of course, you can look back and say we were long land or certain development projects, but of course also we were a company that had $1.5 billion in assets. So as things tightened, the better assets were repaid first, and we got left with some of the more challenging ones.
Do you think
Do you think there's anything you would have changed going back a couple of years if you'd had your time again?
Of course, we failed, so obviously you do things differently. At the time, though, there wasn't a lot you can do. When you're in a market that's changing, it's not like you can just say, hey, stop, I want to change things. It takes time, and trying to realise assets as the market was falling was difficult, but the main thing really was the investment confidence we had in the sector, so people pulled their money out as quick as they could, and people couldn't refinance or repay on their due dates, and we ended up with a shortfall.
Do you think there's a future for the development finance company sector, property development finance company sector in New Zealand now?
Well, standing here right now, it's hard to see it, but eventually I think there probably will be. It'll obviously be a lot tighter governing and different capital ratios, etc. But yeah, I think it has to be, or that industry will stop. the banks just don't have the appetite for it.
Because you've spent a long time developing projects, and over time, particularly the next 10, 20 years, people will wonder where will they get the finance for these sorts of projects.
Well, I think even now, there's a lot of part of our challenge in selling a lot of these assets is selling them to people who can't fund them. So, if the banks won't do it and there's no finance sector, who buys them? So as a consequence, you end up either discounting them or you end up coming up with some sort of finance structure. Now, we can't do that on our platform. These guys can. They could do joint ventures, they could lend them money, they can do all those other things, and as a way of realising the assets. But as an industry in general, it's got a lot of challenges.
There's still potential legal battles to fight with this out there?
There's some residual litigation that's still there. We're expecting possibly a little bit more. The biggest challenge we've had through this whole period has been getting people who owe us money to repay us. So it's gone quite litigious, and as a consequence, that'll no doubt carry on.
What will you be doing with Christmas? Will you be in the country for Christmas? Or?
I will.